All right. I think I am live. Can everyone hear me? I can see a few people are waiting in the waiting room. All right, we got Gretchman. Great channel. Hey, Gretchman. Hey, Nathan. Nathan is here as well. I believe Jacob K is here as well, too. I'm not revealing the guitar just yet, but in just a second, I will show you my brand new guitar. I'm very excited to show you guys. Thank you for joining. Moo is here. Moo Einstein. Skybound MP3. Jojo Star is here. Thomas Prince. Hey, everyone. All right, guys. Well, very excited today to show you a new guitar. I'm just checking your chats here. A lot of people joining in. Luke. Hey, Luke. All right. I'm almost anxious to show you guys because this is a guitar that I've wanted for a very long time. I'm not sure if you guys know what it is. I think some of you might have an idea. It's very special. It's right over here, so you can't see it yet. I'm just doing a cliffhanger kind of tease thing right now. But yes, I am here today to show you a new guitar. It is sort of a Beatle guitar. It might not be exactly what you think it is. Not sure what else to say about it yet. A lot of you are saying, let's see, Rickenbacker. A lot of you are saying a Duo Jet. Yeah, most people are thinking Rick or a Gretsch. You're in the ballpark. Jojo Star says Vox Kensington. That is, I don't know if anyone even knows that guitar. 1 second, I'm just going to adjust the camera here. Okay. Let's see, what else? Gibson Acoustic, Vox Phantom. No, it's not those. Lucy Les Paul. No, I have a Les Paul. A lot of people are thinking the Rick 425. That's a really interesting one. I think people are getting mad that I'm leaving you in suspense here. Maybe I'll deduct and deduce and tell you what it's not. So I can tell you it's not a Rick 425. It's not a Gretsch Duo Jet. It's not a Gibson, and it's not a Fender. So that leaves us with only a few brands. It's not a Rickenbacker at all, not just the 425. So are you guys ready to see it? All right, here we go. It is a Gretsch 6120 Chet Atkins. Yeah, so excited to show you guys this because it's basically my dream guitar. I've wanted this forever. I started playing guitar when I was 11 or 12 years old and immediately started getting into The Who and Neil Young. So this guitar was always one of my dream guitars. It's just gorgeous. Look at the back of that. Oh yeah. It's so if you don't know, the 6120 is the original Chet Atkins signature model. I have my other Gretches here today to show you, well, Michael's Gent as well. Basically, you guys might know this because John Lennon did have a 6120 for Revolver. And his was a double cutaway. So basically, I'll give you the rundown of the history of this guitar. So first of all, if you're just joining, this is a Gretsch 6120. It's my new guitar, and it's from 2019. It's not an old vintage one because those are very, very expensive. But this is made in Japan, and it's very well made, well crafted with like paper capacitors in the knobs and Filtertrons. They're TV Jones classics. I'll get into more of the specs in a second, but thought I'd give you a rundown of the history of this guitar. So in 1954 or 55, Chet Atkins was approached, the Chet Atkins, the guitarist, by Gretsch to make a signature guitar because Les Paul had Gibson. He had an endorsement from them, and we all know the Gibson Les Paul. So it looked a little different in the early stages in 1955-ish. It had Dynasonic pickups in it. Those are what you'll see in George's Gretsch Duojet from the Please Please Me album, their single coils. It would have had block inlays, or sort of like weird horizontal inlays with like cactuses. It had a G brand for Gretsch here. It was much more Western themed. It had a cow skull here. And Chet didn't like that, basically. You can see that guitar with Eddie Cochran, actually. Eddie Cochran had a 6120, one of those early ones, with a P90 he modded in the neck pickup. And he had a big clear plastic pick guard that he modded. But essentially, that's the early history of the guitar. It looked a little different. It had different pickups. It was a little more reddish orange than this. So in 1958 is when you start to see this sort of look. You get the horseshoe thing on the headstock. You get the Filtertrons, most importantly. These are humbucking pickups. It's a fully hollow body guitar. And really nice Bigsby. You got rid of the G brand logo, and now you have the little thumbnail inlays. And that's pretty much it. It also includes, in 1958, you get the mud switch. Before it was the 3 knobs, and you had a tone knob. This does not have a tone knob, similar to the Tennessean and the Country Gent that you know. So you guys may be wondering, why didn't you get the John Lennon, 6120 with a double cutaway? That's the later 60s version, and that had fake F-holes. And it essentially, here's Michael's Gent. The later 60s ones of the 6120, they were still orange, but they basically looked like this. They had fake F-holes, double cutaways. They had mutes as well. So I could have gotten, a double cutaway 60s style, but my guitar hero is Pete Townshend. So Pete Townshend used a 1959 model of the 6120, and this is based off of that. This is a 6120 59 VS for Vintage Select series. It's from 2019. And yeah, Pete Townshend was just always my hero. My other dream guitar had always been an SG Special. And I finally got one during COVID in 2020. I got this real 1970 Gibson SG Special. So Pete used a SG Special on Tommy and Live at Leeds and the Rock and Roll Circus. It's always been my dream guitar with the P90s. So it's not like the SG Standard. But yeah, in 2020, I got this, and it's just an insane real vintage guitar. The thing, though, with the 6120s is the double cutaway versions, like John Lennon's his was about 64, I believe. Those are pretty affordable for a vintage guitar. They're maybe about $3,000, $4,000 generally, and upwards. But I always wanted the 59 spec because you got real F-holes. It feeds back instantaneously. And the single cutaway looks really cool. And it's just been a dream guitar of mine. Neil Young also played one of these in Buffalo Springfield. That song, For What It's Worth, that has the tremolo harmonics. That was Neil on his 6120. It was a 1960 model, so similar to this, but in 1960 they reduced the body depth. So this is, I believe, 2 7/8 inches body depth. It's very thick, and it's got the real F-hole, so it really sustains a lot. So if you're just joining me, new guitar, I got it for my birthday, which was last week, and it's been a dream of mine. It's a Gretsch 6120 VS. Let's see what you guys are saying about it. People are saying, is it vintage? No. So it's a 2019. It's a Japanese, sort of a custom shop, you could say. It's gorgeous. Let's see. Played on paperback writer. So thank you, Marius Tunes, for saying that. So a little context about the Beatles in this guitar. So while this might not be necessarily what you guys all had hoped for in terms of a Beatles guitar, John Lennon did use one on Revolver. So the songs that you can hear that on are Paperback Writer, not the main riff like this. It's not that guitar. It's the one behind it. And I'll put a little tremolo on here. So John was actually in the background going like this. He was doing those little tremolo rhythm things on it. You can see pictures of John with it during the Revolver sessions. And the other song he definitely used it on was Rain. Rain is a whole other thing to dive into. And I think on Gear There and Everywhere, we're definitely going to talk about Rain because you have weird tunings and things going on. But what we do know is that John played one of these, the double cut one, on Rain in the background. It wasn't the lead one doing that thing, but he was doing, once again, just chords in the background, probably with a capo or something, but in the shape of A. So, yes, John did use one of these on Revolver, so it technically is a Beatles guitar, but the main reason that I got this was because Pete Townsend used this, as I was saying, after Tommy and Live at Leeds in 1970. What happened was Joe Walsh of the Eagles, he gifted Pete Townsend a 1959 Gretsch 6120 and also the Tweed Bandmaster amp. So that's a 3x10 Tweed large headroom sort of amp and a volume pedal. So Joe Walsh, 1971-ish, gives Pete Townsend those three items: 6120, Tweed Bandmaster amp, which is a Fender, and the volume pedal. Townsend gets it and is like, oh, very exciting. Thank you for the gift. He opens the case and sees this bright orange thing, and he apparently said, oh, it's terrible. This is the tackiest looking thing I've ever seen. It's this ugly orange. I hate it. But, it's a new guitar. You got to plug it in at least and see how it sounds. So I'm just going to turn some overdrive on here. Basically, Pete plugs this thing in to his Tweed Bandmaster amp and gives it one big chord. It's so epic. So that's the Won't Get Fooled Again tone. He just said immediately, it was like, holy crap, that's an amazing tone. He had written it off because of the color, but I mean, this thing has humbucking Filtertron pickups in it, and into a nice Tweed amp. It's kind of the Neil Young sound. So that's why Joe Walsh gave it to him. He said, Neil Young's getting these really cool tones with a Gretsch like this and a Tweed amp kind of cranked. So I thought that it would be nice for you, Pete. And it was. Pete used this on Baba O'Reilly, Won't Get Fooled Again, Long Live Rock, basically the entire Who's Next album. And then in 1973, he also used it for almost all of Quadrophenia. I don't know if you guys are into the Who that much, but I'm a huge Townsend fan, and this is just a dream come true for me. I've literally been waiting, 15 years to buy this thing. I played a lot of them and got this on Reverb. It's from Rock and Roll Vintage in Chicago. Sent it to me, and it arrived a few days ago. So I wanted to wait till the live stream to reveal what it was. And thank you guys so much for joining. I'll definitely take some requests and play the thing a little bit, but I want to just get some reactions here. I've been kind of not reading them off. So let's see. Oh, Sammy, my buddy Sammy is here. Thanks for joining, man. People are saying happy birthday. That's really, really nice. People are definitely giving some love for the Who. That's nice to hear. Asking what Who covers I'll be doing. I mean, basically all of Who's Next, Quadrophenia, also the Who by Numbers. I don't know if you guys know that album After in 75. It has Squeezebox on it and Slip Kid. Let's hear the thing. I actually haven't gotten to play this that much yet. So what do you guys want to hear on it? Any requests? Basically, these Filtertrons are the same as in Michael's Gent here. So the Country Gentleman, as you know, George Harrison used on the first, well, with the Beatles, at least, used it on that album, Hard Day's Night. It has Filtertrons in it. I don't know if these are actually TV Jones. I think Michael has real Gretsch ones in here. The TV Jones are a different type of reissue pickup, very popular. But yeah, I still have Michael's Country Gentleman. Thank you, Michael. So cool. And I'm still working on some covers with this. You'll see some this week. I'm going to post some new covers. I mean, this is like obviously like the classic Beatle guitar. But for some reason, I always wanted the 6120. It's just the Townsend thing. I also love Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and you can see Stephen Stills and Neil Young using these on a lot before they got their White Falcon Gretches. They also used those, and those had Filtertrons. It's basically the sound of 1970, 71. And obviously later on you get Brian Setzer using one of these 59, 1960-ish models. And I never really was into Brian Setzer for some reason. I just didn't know his music very much, but over the past few weeks, knowing I'm going to be getting this, I went on a bit of a rabbit hole, and I really dig Brian Setzer. He's great, obviously an incredible player, but also I am really into Eddie Cochran and Gene Vincent, and Brian Setzer does really good covers of their music as well. Eddie Cochran is the reason that Brian Setzer got one of these. I think he had wanted, the 55, 56 model that Eddie had. Obviously, Eddie modded his and stuff, but I think the story with Brian Setzer was that he was from Long Island and he saw some listing in a catalog or a newspaper article. It just said orange Gretsch guitar, and that was enough for him to go check it out. And I think when he got there, it was all in pieces. Like, I think all the hardware and electronics were in a bag separately. So it was all empty inside, but he was like, all right, that's cool. And he brought it home. It didn't come with enough hardware. So I think that's where the dice, Brian Setzer puts die instead of knobs there. So I think that's the story of that. I could be wrong, but Brian Setzer, obviously great. I'm really big into Eddie Cochran, so let's hear a little bit of the song that got Paul McCartney into the Beatles. Little tribute there to Eddie Cochran, 20 Flight Rock, the song that Paul McCartney played to John Lennon in 1957 or 8 that got him into the Quarrymen. Yeah, this guitar is fantastic. So thank you guys for joining. If you're just joining, this is my new Gretsch 6120 guitar. I'll show some more close-ups of it. It's got a nice stripe on the back there. Really nice finish to it. The funny thing when I bought this was that on the Reverb listing, it had a rubber chicken with a cigarette in its mouth accompanying this guitar. So that was in the description. They clarified to signify that it had been owned by a cigarette smoker before, which I'm not super fond of, but it didn't smell too bad when I received it. So if you guys have any tips for how to get the smell off of the guitars, let me know. Let's see, Jose Miguel just gave a little super chat. Thank you so much, Jose. Have you been to the House of Guitars and Fab Gear? No, I haven't. I actually don't really know much about that, but I will definitely check it out. I'm in the New York area, so if it's anywhere in the East Coast, like I'll definitely check that out. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Paperback Writer and Rain. So yeah, John Lennon used this for Paperback Writer and Rain. There are some possibilities for other songs he used it on Revolver. Like people speculate maybe And Your Bird Can Sing with the capo on the 2nd fret, because John played the song in D, but it was an E, so he did the capo on the 2nd fret. I don't know if that's true. I tried it with a Casino for my cover and it sounded really close. I'll definitely do some shootouts though. I mean, there's no reason not to try. I think some people speculate maybe for She Said rhythm. I don't know though. I think I did Casino for that as well. I think it got pretty close. Dom Rossi did it with his Black Strat, and that sounded really close. So it's very possible that was a Strat. I don't know. I can't think of other examples really on Revolver that could have this. So it's probably just the singles, Paperback Writer and Rain. It's in Rochester, New York. Thanks, Jose. I've never been to Rochester, but I will definitely check it out. Any sort of guitar collection or museum or store that has really cool stuff, I'm there. I recently went to Retrofret Guitars. Sorry, I'm getting a little buzz here. Retrofret in Brooklyn is an incredible store that has, you know, original 4001 basses and all sorts of cool stuff that I got to play there. So if it's anything like that, I'm definitely there. Someone asked, what year is your 6120? So if you're just joining, this is a 2019. So the Vintage Select series started maybe in the mid 2000s, and it's made in Japan. And it's a 59 reissue. So as I was saying before, 1958, you start to see this look with the Filtertron pickups. 59, it stays the same. In 1960, like Neil Young's model, they reduced this body depth from 2 7/8 to 2.5 inches. And then by the time John Lennon got his hands on one of these, it was what I believe the Gent is, which is just 2 inches, maybe 2 1/4, but much thinner. So this is still got a big, deep body to it. The width of the body, though, is 16 inches. So it's actually the same as my Gretsch Tennessean that you can see back there. The Country Gent is wider. It's 17 inches wide. And I believe the White Falcon models are 18 inches. So those are the biggest. So this is very comfortable. It's not a massive guitar being in arch top. You know, I think most Casinos and 335s are 16 inches. So it's pretty comfortable. I've always preferred single cut guitars. Telecasters and Les Pauls are really my wheelhouse. So this feels right at home. It's got a kind of V neck to it. It's probably hard for you to see, but it does kind of join a little bit more in the center there. It's a thick neck. It's really nice. It's got really low action, which is great. I actually have never tried the mud switch, so let's give that a try. So same thing with your Gretsch Tennessean and Country Gent. I'm going to just put it on the bridge pickup. So this is bridge, middle, neck. Let's keep it on bridge, and in the center here, it's just full on. Let's go up. And then down. Wow, okay, so this reminds me more the mud switch of Michael's Gent, which I'll plug in for a second. So, one sec here. The Gent is going to be pretty similar. It's got Filtertron pickups in it, but it's got the fake F holes, and it's got a deeper body. It's going to be a little different sounding. So let's try that again. Out of tune. And then down. Yeah, so what I like about this, so I'm basically talking about the mud switch here. There's no tone knob on this type of Gretsch. So mud switch is a way to get those jazzy rolled off tones. The thing though is this is not a vintage. Michael's is a 2016. My 6120 is a 2019. And what I've noticed is that when I picked up Michael's, the mud switch is much more usable. Obviously in the center, it's full on like normal. But when you go into this down position, it's like very usable. It's just taking off a little bit. In contrast, I'll show you my Tennessean. 1 second. So this was the first Gretsch I owned. It's actually very lightweight compared to those. This is a real 1967 Gretsch Tennessean. You guys have seen this on my channel a bunch. And what I noticed is that the vintage ones, good, it's in tune. The vintage mud switches are very extreme. It's not as usable as the 6120 and Country Gent. Hear how dark and rolled off it is, and then here. Yeah, so I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. It's amazing how light this is compared to the other ones. But yeah, so the Tennessean, I got this in 2018 at the Philly Guitar Show, and it's got the single coil Hylotron pickups. It's different than the Filtertron. It's very quiet and bright in comparison to the other ones you just heard. And this was used on Help and Beatles for Sale and Rubber Soul. I love this guitar. It's fantastic, but you know, the Hylotrons are very spanky, kind of underwound pickups. So these get a very twangy, cool tone, but I don't think, you know, for the distorted stuff that I want to do, I'll put on some King of Tone here. It's not going to be quite as, you know, full sounding. I'm definitely going to do a comparison, by the way, Tennessean 6120 and the Gent. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think Tennesseans Overdriven are pretty cool. You don't hear it too often, but like Small Faces, Steve Marriott did that a bit. But just for comparison now, let's do this one. This is the new one. Just had to show you how much it feeds back. That's due to the real F holes, but also, yeah, just wow, these Filtertron pickups are super hot. The Tennessean sounded great, but this is just kind of meant for rock, really. So yeah, you can see why I wanted this thing. It's just like a rock machine, but it definitely does, rockabilly as well, as you heard. You've heard that sound a million times, I'm sure. It's kind of the rockabilly guitar, if there ever was one. But yeah, fantastic stuff. I love this guitar. I'm really happy with it. Sounds great, as you can hear. I just want to give a special shout out, though, to my buddy Andrew Weiss. For my birthday, he knew that he's known forever since I've known him that I've wanted one of these. And we've been joking a lot over text about it. Like, I'm going to steal it from somebody. I'm going to, bribe someone for one. It's ridiculous how long I've waited to own this thing. But anyway, Andrew Weiss got me this awesome guitar strap. And believe it or not, this is a real 1969, 1970 guitar strap. And the reason he got me this is that Neil Young, there's a picture of Neil, playing with Crosby, Stills, and Nash in 1969, about playing a Gretsch 6120 and this strap. So this is a really cool strap. Apparently, this is the same kind that Jimi Hendrix used at Woodstock. So it was kind of common back then. And I can't believe I own a real one now. I've been playing this strap with this guitar when I've been jamming the past few days with it. So thank you, buddy, for that. That is such a cool gift. Real vintage Woodstock kind of strap. Let's see what you guys are saying, though. Dreams do come true. They certainly do. Corey Offman. Hey, Corey. Jojo Starr, Woodstock. It's definitely a Woodstock kind of guitar. Stephen Stills used one at Monterey Pop as well. Luke Dude 9 says, which amp are you using? You can see right there with the red light on. I'm using this deluxe reverb amp right now. That's Jacob K's. I think Jacob is with us right now as well. So I wanted to shout out Jacob K. Thank you for selling me that amp, but also just for being a cool dude and a great friend. Yeah, Jacob K is amazing. I mean, you guys have probably seen his channel, but he's lending me the Rickenbacker 1997, which is also a Pete Townsend guitar. It's the Fire Glow F-hole looking one, 6-string. So I've been using that a little bit. But I've been kind of more focused lately, as you can tell, on the Gent stuff, because basically, my plan all along has been to own one of these instead of a Gent. As much as I love the Gent, this has always been the guitar for me. But, this can really only do probably 2 Beatle covers, realistically. So I wanted to, Michael Sokol's very generous to lend me both the Country Gent and the 325. And I'm really taking advantage of it. I'm trying to knock out as many covers as possible so I don't have to keep borrowing Gents and 325s. I recently just finished with the Beatles, the entire album. So go check out my video where I compiled all my guitar covers with the help of Drew Odette, Dom Rossi, and Grant Gerlach. I was able to finish with the Beatles. They helped me out. So thanks, guys. And yeah, definitely check that out. Let's see what else you guys are saying, though. Nice amp. Yeah, it certainly is. Would you say it is comparable to the orange Gretsch John Lennon used at the Revolver sessions? So, great question. I kind of talked about it before, but essentially, this is the same model that John used. It's just an earlier version. Same pickups, same orange finish, ebony fingerboard, and same looking headstock, pretty much. The difference really mainly is that John's had fake F holes and a double cutaway. So it's a little bit more similar to the Gent, actually, in terms of sound, at least. I think this will look much more accurate, like, than using the Gent for like a paperback Raider cover. I know Michael Sokol did that with his Gent, and that sounded amazing. Or he did Rain with that. But essentially, John's 6120 model was essentially a Gent that's orange and a little bit thinner body. Otherwise, it's kind of the same. I've played some of those double cutaway vintage models, and they do sound like this, but I would say that this is a bit more open sounding with the real F holes and single cutaway. It's kind of got a more rock sound to it. I find that the double cutaway 60s ones, especially with flats on them, kind of sound a little bit dull. Michael's Gent is just fantastic. I just love that guitar. Eventually, I would also like a Gretsch Duo Jet, which I know you guys probably would love to see me play as well. The George Please Please Me black one with Dynasonics. It's just, I don't know, maybe I have a Gretsch addiction or something, but, with owning the Tennessean, you've got the Hylatron pickups in it, single coils. Those are very unique. The Filtertrons are incredible, as we've heard today, and with all the covers with the Gent, Filtertrons are amazing, versatile pickups. But the Gretsch Duo Jet's kind of a different flavor. I played a few similar guitars like Firebirds with the Dynasonic pickups in it, and it's some of the best sounds I've ever heard. Great for rockabilly, and they just look so cool. I've always found that the Duo Jet, the Gretsch Duo Jet with the black look and the Dynasonic pickups look kind of like the Star Wars, not the X-Wing, but the TIE fighters, like the guys with the wearing all black. I don't know. There's something about it that looks very badass and Star Warsy to me. Anyway, this is really the dream guitar, though. I would say with this now and my Les Paul and my Tele, I'm kind of in good shape. This has kind of always been the dream for me, is like owning one of these, maybe a Sonic Blue Strat thrown in there. But I just, yeah, as you can tell, I'm pretty smitten with this thing. Let's play a little bit on it, though. Let's dial in a tremolo tone, and maybe I'll do some paperback Raider. It's a great sound. Let's see what else you guys have to say about this. Nathan, pardon me to ask again, would you be able to use the Revolver back cover outfits for those covers instead of the turtlenecks? It's a very specific question, but I know what you mean. I've been using the black pants and black turtleneck for a lot of my early covers, and I do have some interesting 66 clothing things that you'll see that might be exciting. I won't tell you what it is yet, but yes, I will use different outfits for sure. My rock and roll finger is here. He's got a really great channel, go check out my rock and roll finger, a reference to John Lennon's quote from Get Back, "My rock and roll finger is bleeding," when he has the Band-Aid. Hi, Sam. First of all, I'm very happy that you're helping me with a cover on Instagram. Really appreciate it. I'd like to know how you rate your guitar tabs in Pro Tools. So that's a really great question. So I use Pro Tools, which is a DAW, digital audio workstation, similar to Logic or GarageBand or Ableton. Pro Tools is like kind of the industry standard, I would say, for like recording studios and movies and stuff like that. Basically, I learn by ear, so I don't actually write out the tabs first. I've been getting the help of a guy named River on Instagram. You can find him as Henry number 3 Studios, has been writing really great tabs for me for my Patreon. So go check out my Patreon. I do have a lot of tabs up now of some of my more classic covers, like While My Guitar Gently Weeps or Your Blues. Gently Weeps is soon to come, not quite yet. But anyway, on Pro Tools, basically what I do is I learn by ear. I isolate the tracks and put them all in separate tracks in Pro Tools, and then I can solo them. So I'm just listening to George's guitar or John's. And then there's a feature where you can press enter, and it comes up with a little yellow marker on the timeline. So the exact moment that George is playing an A note, let's say, it will pull that marker up. So visually, if I press play and you see the track scrolling on the timeline, the yellow marker will be there. So I actually have hundreds of little yellow markers, and it's a weird way to do it. Most people would probably say, why don't you learn to read music or notate it? That's just how I do it. I've just learned by ear, and I'm already recording to Pro Tools anyway, so it's better than having to look down at a piece of paper or a tab or something, and it's scrolling across the screen. So I just find it really useful. It's just how I've learned to do it. But afterwards, I post my cover, and then my friend River will, he's got a great ear too. He's, able to write the tabs out, and I put them on my Patreon. So if you guys want to become Patreon members, basically you can become a free member and access maybe 1 or 2 tabs for free, as well as some other cool little things like gear settings, and it's got some stuff. If you're a free member, it's still worth checking out. I have 2 tiers. If you're an $8 member, you get access to select tabs, probably like 5 or 6 of them. And I'll keep rolling them out as time goes on. So there's more than 5 or 6 for $8 members. You also get, for the $8 membership each month, gear settings. You get access to every picture of my amp and pedals that I've ever done for a cover. You get access to stems. So I'll sometimes post like my isolated guitar track. So if you wanted to jam along to the Abbey Road medley, I don't know if I have that one up necessarily yet, but you could, put in whatever your digital audio workstation is, put my guitar tracks into that and play along to my guitar tracks. And what else? Got some other stuff on Patreon. Basically, the thing that I post the most at this point, along with the tabs, is unreleased videos. So I'll give a little spoiler right now. I'm working on BBC covers right now, because I basically finished every Beatles gent song there is, in terms of the studio stuff. So at this point, I'm just trying to knock out any other gent covers. So a lot of BBC stuff and live stuff I'm working on. So if you were a Patreon member, $8 or the higher tier, you would get access to unreleased videos. So before I press publish or release, you'll get to see, I have actually 3 covers right now, BBC ones, that are up. If you wanted to see some of those before I upload them. And then the $30, I have a $30 tier membership, and basically that gives you access to everything, including tons of tabs. So if you didn't want to become a member, totally understand. You could also just purchase individual. If you, let's say, were a huge fan of Octopus's Garden and just needed to know that one solo, but didn't want to become like a full-time member, you could also just buy, individual tabs. You don't have to become a member. Anyway, I thought that was a good plug. And it was a good question about guitar tabs. Let's see. Tate says, which would you say is your favorite Beatle guitar? I actually would say John's Sonic Blue Strat is just the coolest looking one to me. He didn't use it that much, really, but George and John had Sonic Blue Strats, and then George's became Rocky. I just think On Rubber Soul and Help, those blue Strats just look perfect. Other than that, I would say the Rosewood Telly and Lucy Les Paul. I'm a big fan of the later Beatles tones and playing, so probably those three are my top. Let's see. Learning by ear is better because I see a lot of bad tabs. Anyway, there are a lot of other good tabs out there, I'll say. There's that guy on YouTube. I'm going to mispronounce his name. It starts with an R, but he's Japanese, I believe. And he does Beatles covers, Raihoi. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing that name, but he often includes tabs along with the videos, and they're fantastic. So, Patreon is there whenever. Someone just posted it. Roihei Kanayama. That's him. Fantastic stuff. So I'm just one of many other guys doing this, and I'm just so honored that you guys, follow me and participate. I just love the back and forth communication that we have like this. Really appreciate you joining today. I've just blabbed probably mostly about this guitar because I'm just so excited about it. But how about for now, before I answer some other questions, I'm just going to play some Who stuff to show you what it can do. Because, I mostly got this for the Pete Townsend thing. So I'll show you Won't Get Fooled Again. Yeah, that's it's kind of the sound. I don't have a Tweed Bandmaster amp like Pete did. Maybe one day I'll get that, but I've thought of a few ideas for how to get that Tweed Neil Young broken up sound. I do have a Tweed Champ. It's hard to see down there. It's only 5 watts. What I can do though is I have a special cable that can plug into my Bassman cabinet. This one right here, 2x12. So that's a good way to get a broken up Tweed sound a little louder than just a little 8-inch speaker of the Champ. I also have this Catalan bred pedal called the Formula 5, and it's a Tweed amp in a box pedal. You've just been hearing the King of Tone now, but I'll play the Catalan bred for you for a second. So that's actually a really great amp in a box pedal, the Catalan bred. So I find that using that into the deluxe or the basement works really well. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm experimenting with at the moment tonally. Let's see. Love Your Stuff. I can play the hooks and chorus and solo from My Love Wings. That's a really good one. Um, I'm planning on doing some more Wings soon. I won't say which, but I am working on something. It's just a little difficult. It's not an easy one. Jojo Star says ACDC. So, yeah, I should also shout out, I love ACDC. Malcolm Young. Angus Young was the lead guitarist on SG. But Malcolm Young was his brother, the rhythm guitarist, played a Jet. It was a Gretsch Jet double cutaway that he sanded down and had Filtertron pickups in it, but he only used one of them. So like you see the other three slots are empty. It's a really gnarly looking guitar, but all those, rhythm, ACDC sounds are Filtertrons and Gretsch. Yeah, fantastic stuff. There's a lot of great players who use these, including the Zombies. Was it Paul Atkinson, I believe, was the guitarist of the Zombies, and he played a double cutaway like John's on their first album, Begin Here, I believe it's called. So a lot of those cool Filtertron tones are on there. There's a lot of great Gretsch players. Another thing I'm going to plan on covering is a lot of the Stax and Muscle Shoals late 60s era recordings of like Aretha Franklin and Wilson Pickett. I'm not really sure how to play it, but essentially respect to that Aretha Franklin song, the lick that you hear in the beginning. That lick is one of these, actually single cut 59. A guy named Jimmy Johnson played on all those records, like Wilson Pickett, Something You've Got, Land of a Thousand Dances, Think by Aretha Franklin. So a lot of those great recordings were this guitar. There's another guitarist from that session work. They were known as the Swampers, those guys, named Joe South. Joe South was a really cool looking long-haired hippie guy who was from Alabama, I think, and he played at Muscle Shoals. And anyway, he's on a lot of those recordings as well by Aretha. And he also was on a lot of other folk rock albums by Bob Dylan and Simon and Garfunkel, and played sort of one of these, but it was an earlier one, more like Eddie Cochran with the Dynasonics. So if you guys know Blonde on Blonde by Bob Dylan, Stuck Inside Mobile with the Memphis Blues again. A lot of those cool little hammer-on double stops are one of these. And I've failed to mention Chet Atkins himself used, a lot of Gretsch guitars, but this is his signature model. I love Chet, and I've done a lot of Everly Brothers covers that, he used the Gent on. But Chet is all over, Nashville recordings from that era. So I'm definitely going to do some of that. Dwayne Eddy was probably the other most famous 6120 user. He had a lot of reverb and tremolo and stuff, like on Rebel Rouser. He used one of these. So there's a lot I can cover on here besides Beatles and Pete Townsend and stuff. Let's see what else you guys have to say. Hayes, hey Sam, you should do some covers of the Chet Atkins Rockabilly show that George, Eric Clapton, and Ringo were on, to name a few. Great numbers, you can knock them out. That's a great point. So George Harrison, later on in the 80s, I believe, was gifted one of these. It was an earlier version with the Dynasonics by Olivia, his wife. And you can see him playing it with Carl Perkins. in the 80s with Ringo and Clapton. So you can see him doing, Everybody's Trying to Be My Babies. He's really into it. He seemed like, Carl was his hero. He wanted to be named Carl Harrison. So you can see George having a wonderful time smiling and singing with Carl, and doing some really great rockabilly. That's All Right, Mama. He does a lot of great rockabilly stuff on one of these from 1985. So go check that out. Any Johnny Cash songs? I think that would be quite appropriate. Yeah. I don't think these made it onto any Johnny songs, but I love Johnny Cash and Luther Perkins. So definitely, at some point I'm going to do that. David Montes is here. Blonde on Blonde. Love that album. David is the #1 Beatle drummer on YouTube. So please go check him out. I would say him and Michael Sokill are the Ringo experts. So if you don't know David, like, oh my God, you gotta check him out. Henry #3 is here. Did Brian Jones play one? So Brian Jones played a Gretsch, but it was closer to my Tennessean, actually. His was a double anniversary model, which is kind of the minty green looking one. Very similar to these guitars. And it had real F-holes and it had Hylatrons in it. So yeah, his was like an early 60s with the Tennessean pickups in it. But in terms of everything else about the guitar, yeah, it's kind of like one of these because it's got the real F-holes. It's single cut. So Brian Jones used that on some early Stone stuff like It's All Over Now and Little Red Rooster. A lot of the slide stuff, I believe, used one of these. Let's see. A little unrelated, but I would love to see a Day Tripper cover. It's one of my favorite Beatles songs and could be the reverse side for We Can Work It Out. So Day Tripper is a funny one because George was actually using most likely an ES-345 guitar. I don't have an ES Gibson guitar necessarily, although I have a black Epiphone Sheraton guitar that's kind of like that, and I use that for one of the Everly Brothers recordings because Hank Garland, who played on the Everlys, used a Sunburst Gibson ES-345, which is exactly what George had. I would love one of those guitars one day. I've never really been into the 335 guitars for whatever reason, but the 345 with the trapezoid, I believe, inlays or whatever it is, and the Veritone switching, I just think it looks so much cooler. And so anyway, Day Tripper, I think I will get around to it eventually. Ryan Martin, Man with No Expression, has a 345. So we've been in talks for a long time about covering that song with his 345. Would you do I'll Get You with Mike's Gent? It's the last main discography Beatles song that you haven't done with the Gent. Yes, so I'll Get You. I've actually already finished with the Gent. What's interesting about it, though, is that I can't really hear another guitar. I'm sure that John played like his acoustic J160 or something behind it, but even in isolated, I just can't pick out anything other than just one guitar. So I'm working on that. I'm not saying that there isn't another guitar in it. I've just already finished the Gent part, and I don't know what else to do at this point because I don't really want to lie to you guys and make up something that isn't there. If I want to represent everything I'm hearing, I want to represent as best I can. So, I might need to make up something. If I really have to, I'll kind of think about what did John play, what could he have been playing, and do that. But I'm going to keep digging further and seeing if I can hear a second guitar in there and take it from there. That one guitar guy says that Gretsch 6120 is beautiful. Yeah, this is the reveal today, and I'm so glad you guys could be here for this. I just got it 2 days ago, I believe. It's been a dream of mine to play it on the channel. I'm probably going to do a lot of Who's Next covers, the Who on it to begin with using my Ibanez. It's right here. Can't point at it there. It's basically my Gibson J200 acoustic, and that's what Pete used on Tommy Quadrophenia, Who's Next. So that J200 style, mine's an Ibanez, but that guitar and this are a lot of the Who's Next records. So I'm going to probably do Behind Blue Eyes to start with this thing. And yeah, probably work on Paperback Writer and Rain as time goes on. So I was just so excited to reveal it to you guys. I knew that it would be very special to show off my guitar online for the first time with a live chat like this. Let's see, Rock and Roll Finger. So your latest short, a George solo by Happiness is a Warm Gun. How did George A string not break? So yeah, I did Happiness is a Warm Gun a long time ago, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago now, on my Les Paul with the Analog Man Sunbender fuzz pedal, the Mark 1.5, if any of you are nerdy like me and want to know exactly what fuzz. A lot of people thought that Happiness is a Warm Gun was the fretless guitar because he's doing some really crazy bends and note wobbly stuff. So I always heard it though as bends, not a slide fretless thing like on that Bartelli, I think it's called. So anyway, that's what I did. And then the other day I reposted the short. I never posted just the solo isolated from my cover. So I did that. But I just had, Ernie Ball Slinky 10 to 46 is what I use on most of my guitars. And my Les Paul just has put up with a lot. It's the first guitar I ever owned electric wise. And I think just be careful when you're playing. I'm sure some guitars are not set up to handle that kind of tension and bending, but I guess I got lucky, or I'm bended carefully enough. What are the acoustic guitars that the Everlys used on the Ed Sullivan Show? That's a great question. So I was just talking about Pete Townshend's J200 Gibson acoustic, and that's what the Everlys used on their first 2 or 3 records was the Gibson J200. This, it's hard to point. I'm looking at myself. That looking guitar, mine's a copy, but eventually Gibson approached them for an endorsement deal and made the Everly Brothers signature model, which is the J180 guitar. And that is slightly different. It's got the double pick guard and it's a little smaller bodied, I believe. And it has like a very adjustable type of bridge that kind of kills the tone a bit more. But I really like that. I love an Everly Brothers guitar as well. And they're just my favorite vocal duo besides John and Paul, really. I think that they're just like the most heavenly sounding harmonies that you'll ever hear. So Ed Sullivan Show, they did use the J200s, but later on into 1961, I think you start to see them with their signature double pickguard models. Will you do Bob Dylan covers? Absolutely. I love Bob Dylan, not just because Timothy Chalamet did a great job playing him last year, but I've always loved Bob. And he's got some great electric work on his records, Robbie Robertson and Mike Bloomfield on a Telly. So I don't know. I have no reason not to cover him. It's just something I'm planning on. Lyndon Atchison. Hey, Lyndon, good friend of mine. Has a great channel, by the way. Check him out. What year is the 6120? So for anyone who hasn't, gotten here in time for me in the beginning to describe it, this is a 2019. The exact model is a G6120 T59 VS Vintage Select series. So it's a Japanese-made 6120, and it's my newest addition to the collection. You can see the old vintage style tuners there. A lot of the guys you see using these later put Grover kidney bean looking silver tuners on it. So far it's staying in tune pretty good, but any guitar needs a little bit of love. Let's see. Hi, Sam. I finally got a Casino a while back. My dream guitar. Congrats. I just recently installed the Bigsby style vibrato bar on it. Any recs for Beatles solo stuff that use Bigsby? That's great to hear that you did that. I did that recently with my Casino as well, and it's a tricky thing with hollow body guitars like this. Don't have something underneath it besides the top, so it can be hard to put a Bigsby on and have it be stable and stuff. So got to get lucky and get a good tech, which I had. So there's not many songs that used the Bigsby and the Casino, but I think it's all too much. That's a whole nother rabbit hole, but we're going to talk about that soon on Gear There and Everywhere. And I believe that had to be Casino with the Bigsby because of all that feedback. People say John played that intro lick, and I just don't think. Well, first of all, his Casino didn't have a Bigsby on it, so he couldn't have done it on that. It's possible he used a Strat on it, but it just doesn't sound like a Strat, and it's feeding back a lot. So I think it was probably Paul or George on Casino. Other examples are Jet, Band on the Run, stuff like that in the 70s when Paul was using his Casino a lot. Those two songs have a little bit of Bigsby in there for sure. So check out some more Wing stuff for that. Let's see. Lyndon saying he was sorry he was late to the live stream. All good, man. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad all you guys are here and sticking around for this. I hope you weren't disappointed thinking I was going to buy I don't know, some sort of Rickenbacker or something. I mean, I would love to have every Beatles guitar, but this was a very important purchase for me. In my mind, the two that I like were my white whales, so to speak, besides what I already own, would be this and then the Rick bass. I really, really want a Rick 4003S or the 4001 equivalent, whatever is being made these days. I don't have a large bass collection, but I love to play bass. So that's probably my next thing. But I will, for those of you who have stuck around, you get a little treat because I have some exciting news. This is not the only new guitar that I have or will have very soon in the next month. There's a Beatle guitar that I will be getting in the mail. I won't say too much because nothing is, set in stone yet, but it's likely going to ship in the next few weeks, and it is an acoustic guitar. It's something that was used in the mid 60s era is all I'll say. So very excited for this thing, but also very excited for a Beatle guitar coming my way very shortly as well, which will help with some covers. So I think you guys could probably guess which one that is. Anyway, let's see. Is anyone still here? Just wanted to drop and say hi. Rock Band Stems. Oh, I'm sorry I missed that chat earlier. Rock Band Stems, the best isolated Beatles tracks on YouTube. Big fan of their stuff. So thank you for joining. Got a lot of great people here. Jacob K is here. David Montes, my rock and roll finger. Corey, Luke, Dude 9. What else are you guys saying? So yeah, you're guessing which guitar I'm talking about now. Anyway, I think I'm going to call it, but thank you so much for joining. Before I go, I wanted to also plug some of the cool stuff I've been getting to do on Gear There and Everywhere. We've been talking to some really incredible people. Our latest episode was with Acclam, the pedal company. Marcel and Mark, shout out to them. They made the Dr. Robert pedal and the new Go Rocky Go. And I did a little collaboration with them. So here's my Dr. Robert. Just happened to have it handy. So that was our latest Gear There and Everywhere episode, which was fantastic to talk to those guys and hear how Klaus, came up with this artwork. It's a little faded there, but Klaus Vormann, that is. We also interviewed Bernie Hamburger, who made the Free as a Bird and Real Love and Now and Then guitars, Hamburg guitars. Check out that interview on our podcast. That was pretty incredible. And then most recently, it hasn't been aired yet, but we interviewed Robin Nolan, who is a guitarist who plays gypsy jazz music. And he actually got to play the J160, the Ramirez, and the Hard Day's Night 36012 on his album. George Harrison actually played this guitar. So that was a style O guitars used, and Here Comes the Sun might have been written on that. Wrote Here Comes the Sun, Here, There, and Everywhere. Look out for that episode about that guitar and the Robin Nolan interview about him playing 3 Beatle guitars. Yeah, check out Here, There, and Everywhere. Thanks, guys. Take care.